Hi, I'm Amy and welcome to my channel where you can learn hints and tips in order to empower you to attract your match so that you can feel secure and happy in love. Now, today's video is about red flags, and I've spoken to a lot of single people over the last couple of weeks and really researched this subject because it's come up a lot. And I've noticed that there are quite a few misconceptions over what red flags are. Okay, even towards the extreme of misdiagnosing people with personality disorders. So I just wanted to make this video so that we can distinguish what's a red flag and what isn't, why we don't notice red flags when they're there, and how to solve these dysfunctional patterns where we're meeting time and time again with people that aren't committed, that take advantage of us, and that aren't giving us the presence and the time that we deserve. Okay, so let's get started. So what is a red flag? So a red flag is basically what your internal alarm system is telling you. So if somebody you're on a date with says something that you perceive as a red flag, what will happen is your internal alarm system will activate and the alarm bells go off. And you might think to yourself, something is not right with this person. So that is what a red flag is. So if you are like me and red flags, and the alarm bells don't go off for you, here's a couple of reasons why. So if one, you had a chaotic childhood or you lived in a chaotic household, chaos becomes your subconscious comfort zone, as does dysfunction. So when you are with somebody who is displaying dysfunctional behaviours, the alarm bell system might not go off for you because it is still a subconscious safety zone and it is familiar to you. You might also have this response if you've had previous abusive relationships. And again, the red flags might not go off for you. And another big reason is that if you've got low self-esteem or low self-worth, so if you internally don't believe that you deserve the relationship that you want, then you might accept and settle for a lot less than what you deserve. Okay, so these are the reasons why people would get into one dysfunctional relationship after another, because the alarm bells aren't going off soon enough. So what happens when you're on a date with somebody and they consistently talk about their ex all the time? That to me would be a red flag. But to somebody else, they might think, oh, well, that person's just having a bad day. Let's see what the next date is like. And this is how we get into the pattern. Okay. On the other side of this, I've spoken to a lot of people where alarm bells will go off prematurely or for no reason at all. So, I've spoken to a person who said that because they didn't pay for the food on the first date, that's a red flag to me, so I'm not seeing them again. And, that isn't a red flag. That is a standard. Okay. And it is perfectly okay to have standards. In fact, you should have standards in a relationship. You should know what your standards are, your boundaries are, and what your non-negotiables are. Okay, so if your alarm bells have gone off and you think it's a red flag, it's a red flag for you, what you need to do is sort of sit back and ask yourself whether this standard is reasonable or not. So is it reasonable to expect somebody that you don't know to pay for everything on the first date? Or you might not have heard from somebody all day when you've texted them, so you've not received a response all day. Is that reasonable? Okay. If it is reasonable, then, communicate it with that person and say to them, when you don't text me back all day, I feel like you don't care. Can we put something into place so that this doesn't happen again? So you've communicated the boundary, you communicated the standard. You might have done this more than once, but if that person is not willing to change the behavior or at least make an attempt to or compromise with you, that is what your red flag is, because you are expressing a need in a relationship and that person does not have your best interests at heart. Okay, so what do we do when we're stuck in this cycle of meeting people over and over and over again who aren't committed, who have got no intention of committing? or they're taking advantage of us in some way. So the first thing that you should be doing is take stock of what your previous relationship history has been. So what is the pattern? So do you meet somebody and then 4 dates in, you ask what their intentions are, and then they ghost you? So look at what your past relationship history is and where the behaviour started. So I know it's easy to do this in hindsight. Okay, so when you've done that, ask yourself whether the behaviour was displayed to you was reasonable, normal, or was it just you looking at the situation with the lens of fear? So, did that person say to you, well, actually, I'm busy if you've asked them on a date and they've said, well, actually, I'm busy at the weekend, can we do the week after? And you were then thinking, well, they don't want to meet me. They haven't got the best intentions. They're not committed to me. Are you just looking at it through a lens of fear? Okay. And another thing to do is question what drove you to continue, if you did continue. What drove you to continue with that relationship? So if you sat on a second date with somebody and they spent the entire time talking about their ex-partner and you still met them for dates after, look at what drove you to do that and what belief systems you have that are driving you to continue feeding into these dysfunctional patterns. So did you think that that person would change? Were you holding a vision of that person in your head of perfection and projecting it onto somebody, hoping that they would sort of morph to meet what your expectations were? And then the last thing is to plan what you're going to do differently. So it might be as simple as saying, okay, the next time I go on a date and that person, talks more than what is normal about their ex-partner without being asked, then yes, that is a red flag for me, and yes, it is not negotiable. Okay, so it's as simple as that, and I hope this video helps, because like I say, I'm seeing a lot of people really, really struggling in the dating community at the moment, and I hope that these will sort of outline what to look out for and where to go forward. If it is that you would like further hints and tips, then visit my website, which is amyjonescoaching.co.uk. Please subscribe to this channel for further hints and tips, as well as liking this video, and comment below if you have any questions. I will see you in the next video.